Hello, my name is Crystal, and this is Brain Fog and Perimenopause. Um, I wanted to record this right now because I am actually experiencing some hellacious brain fog. It started last Sunday. I had sat down and I was like, I'm going to sit down and make some goals for Hormone Hysteria so I can get some content out and have a game plan. And so I had my pen and I was all ready to set out these goals. And I sat there with the pen and I was like, just kind of staring. Like my brain would not function. And it was very aggravating because I had kind of planned all week that the weekend I would take time to do these goals. And then it just got worse. So as you can see, there are a ton of boxes behind me. That is because I got news from my landlord about 5 days ago that he is selling the place that I'm renting and that I have to move out. And while he had kind of warned me about that, it was unexpected. And so now I'm like, have brain fog from literally overthinking and just being overwhelmed because I feel like, tell me if you agree, in perimenopause, everything is just 10 times worse. So we've all experienced brain fog before, but I feel like once you get in perimenopause, it's like multiplied times 10. And then it makes me feel like a freaking idiot when like I can't get my words together. So with that being said, if I stumble along with my words, I've got notes, I got a book. I'm not planning on editing this thing because honestly, editing pisses me the fuck off. I can't deal with it. I have no patience for it. So if I mess up, we're just gonna keep on going. But I did want to tell you that I have been researching the ongoings of our hormones for the past year. And anytime I experience anything, I do a deep dive into it to figure out what the hell is going on. So I did want to share with you what could be causing the brain fog. And it could be a couple of things. So I am quick to blame my hormones for everything. I'm like, it's the hormones' fault. They did it. But that's not always the case. So I want you to be mindful of that. It could be any culmination of things. And I am not a medical doctor. This is not medical advice. Go talk to your doctor about your symptoms, but I'm just sharing with you my experience and what I have learned. So let's talk about some of the other things that can contribute besides your hormones. So brain fog can be related to thyroid issues. So if you have a super sluggish thyroid, right, that controls your metabolism, your energy, all the things. We heard about thyroid for years. I always think about Leanne Morgan when she's like, that's back when my thyroid was working. I feel your pain. But your thyroid could contribute to the brain fog and the sluggishness. So that's one thing. Something else that I struggle with quite frequently is choosing the wrong damn foods. So if you're eating a super inflammatory diet, or maybe you just had one night or one day or a weekend or whatever where you ate some not so great things, your brain gets all inflamed. I like saying inflamed in the membrane, where, you're just, it affects how you think. It does. I'm 5 years sober, but I used to drink like a fish. So a hangover, if you drank the night before, of course that's going to cause brain fog. But here's what you're here for. So how does your hormones affect your brain fog and at different parts of your cycle? Because I notice that it does impact me on certain days than others. And with the unpredictability of perimenopause, like you really don't know when it's coming. So the main reason, according to my research, is that you have a lot of estrogen receptors all over your body, but in your prefrontal cortex of your brain, that particular part of your brain is responsible for planning, focus, and decisions. The shit that goes MIA when you have brain fog. So, if that part of your brain relies on estrogen and your estrogen is low, either due to perimenopause or due to a fluctuation in your cycle, then you just ain't gonna be able to sing. Now, before we move on, I do want to mention one thing. Estrogen does get most of the attention when we're talking about brain fog, but I want to let you know it is not the only hormone involved. The hormone progesterone can totally affect things like your sleep, your anxiety, your ability to stay calm and focused. And then testosterone can also play a role in things like your motivation, your concentration, and your mental sharpness. So while in this video we are focusing mostly on estrogen, the reality is that all of these hormones kind of work together during your cycle, and that's why brain fog can look different from one woman to the next. And then honestly, it can even vary from one cycle to the next. Let's talk about when you might be experiencing low estrogen. So if you look at a graph of a normal hormone graph, normal 28-day cycle, estrogen usually starts out pretty low, and it has this little bump, and then it goes skyrocketing up, and everything's fabulous, and then it kind of comes crashing down, everything sucks, and then you get another little bump, and then it comes back down, and then it kind of goes to zero, and shit hits the fan, right? In perimenopause, it's more like, it makes no sense at all. So it's kind of hard to predict. You don't know when your estrogen is low or high. Yes, you can get your estrogen and hormone levels tested, but in my opinion, if you don't do that daily, I mean, there's no way to tell because they fluctuate so much. So just know that if you are experiencing a little brain fog, then it could be that you've got some low estrogen possibly going on. But one of the biggest things I think that I realized when I've been experiencing this brain fog, like I said, all week, I'm still experiencing it right now. But I used to shame myself a lot. So before I knew what was happening, it was easy to be like, oh my God, like I'm getting dementia, like I'm losing my ability to think. Like I just started kind of going on this downward spiral about like, you know, what that meant for me and kind of shaming myself. And so I just want to say that because shame doesn't get us anywhere. It actually just perpetuates the cycle because you're just adding another negative emotion on top of a brain that's barely hanging on. So if you are experiencing it, please give yourself some compassion. Know that you're not going crazy. You are not losing your mind. You are not losing your cognitive ability. It's just these shifts that are happening right now that just makes it feel that way. So the other thing that I want to talk to you about, because this is going to be really important when we get into the yoga session for brain fog, which I'm super excited about, is the meridians that are defined in traditional Chinese medicine. So if you're not familiar with TCM, it's this badass system of like meridians that run all through your body, and they're like little invisible meridians, right? But each one is connected with a specific organ of your body, and they come in pairs, and the meridians rule not only physical symptoms of your body, like brain fog, but also emotional and mental qualities. So foggy thinking and things like that. So I find it fascinating. Anytime I have a symptom, I immediately go to the meridians and I'm like, which one of my meridians fucked up? Because one of them ain't working right, or all of them ain't working right. So here's what I found, okay? So specific to brain fog. First one, and I'm gonna go into these meridians hopefully in another video coming up, but I don't wanna go too deep right now. So this is just super high level. But the first one is the spleen meridian, and I'm gonna show you a picture. I'm gonna hold it up to the camera, old school. So if you can see this meridian, it starts on the inside of the big toe, and then it's going up through the inner leg, through the groin, up to your torso. Then it enters your stomach. It goes through your diaphragm, chest, and heart. And then it finally ends up at the root of your tongue. So that's just a visual of where the meridian is. But so obviously it has to do with your spleen, but there are certain energetics associated with the spleen meridian. The first and most important is the spleen meridian governs mental processing and clarity. Duh, hello, brain fog. Like that's where we're at. So when we're talking about emotions, if you've got excessive worry, ruminating thoughts, brain fog is not working, or repetitive thoughts, right? Your brain is just super active. And then you kind of get into that what's wrong with me mental loop. It could be that your spleen is out of balance. So that's meridian number one. The second one is the liver meridian. And I also have a diagram for it, but it also runs up through your inner thighs. So, ta-da! Here is the liver meridian. I hope I'm holding this up right. It begins at the top of your big toe. It runs up your inner leg, through your groin to your torso. And then it hangs a hard right to go through that liver and your gallbladder into your lungs. And then it finally ends up going through your heart and into your head. It circles your lips and then moves on into your eyes. Okay? So that's kind of the path of the liver meridian. Again, we'll get into this more when we do the yoga. But the liver meridian is all about flow, right? Your energy, your blood, your emotions. And the emotion most associated with the liver is, there are several, but in this instance, anger and frustration. And I don't know about you, but when I'm experiencing brain fog, like I'm pissed the fuck off because I got stuff I need to do and I can't do it because I can't think straight. And so I'm angry, I'm frustrated, and again, I'm just adding another negative emotion on top of, what's already not working properly. But if you have a imbalanced liver meridian, you might experience things such as stuck emotions, foggy thinking, or irritability, as I just mentioned. So when we're talking about ways to kind of help balance the liver meridian, in addition to some of the yoga poses I'll be showing you, something that helped me. So that day that I couldn't think straight and I was sitting there trying to write out goals, I just went on a walk. I was like, my head is not working. I can't do anything that requires thought processing right now or any kind of mental capacity. So I just got up and went on a walk. And I felt so much better. It wasn't a fast walk, it wasn't a power walk, just stroll around the neighborhood. But I felt so much better after that. I think it just, it opens up the meridians. It helps you kind of just process and get into your body versus hanging on to that stagnant energy and that irritability and all of that. And then finally, there's one more meridian. You could probably tie all the meridians to this, but I'm going to do 3. The heart meridian. So let me give you a little visual of the heart meridian. Whole place. By the way, these images I'm taking from this fabulous little book. It is Insight Yoga by Sarah Powers. And it is great. It talks about all the meridians. Then it goes through different sequences and stuff. I just love it. But the heart meridian is pretty simple. So it's this little picture right down here. And you can see it has 3 branches. And each one begins at the center of the body at the heart. And so one goes down through the diaphragm into the diaphragm into the small intestines. There's another one that goes up through the throat and the tongue to meet the eye. And then, of course, there's the one that goes across the chest and down each arm to the pinky finger. So if you're familiar with yoga poses, any type of heart openings, right? Opening up through here, excellent for the heart meridian. But how does this relate to brain fog? Your heart the heart meridian is kind of considered the supreme manager. So it oversees all of the workings of the mind body. Like all the meridians kind of work together. So, but this one is like the supreme boss, okay? And when it's in balance, you feel nourished, right? Because the heart has to do with blood. You feel joyful. When it's imbalanced, you might feel sadness, depression, just not this zest for life is kind of gone. And that also happened to me with brain fog. Like this is kind of my pattern. Anytime I experience any kind of emotion that feels challenging, I always go to anger. My liver gets fired up and then I get sad. It's like once the anger is gone, I'm like, oh, like I'm so tired of dealing with this, and like, why is this happening to me? So the heart meridian is another one that could be impacted here. And then I got one little other tidbit. I love pulling in all of the things. So if you're familiar with the chakra system, 7 energy centers, there are more, that run from the base of our spine to the top of our head. Guess which one is affiliated with brain fog? Your third eye, right here in the center of your eyebrows. And when I'm experiencing brain fog, I have a lot of sinus issues anyways. And so clearly it is just like right here. And the third eye actually governs your decision making, your, I'm having a brain fog moment, your sense of trust in the universe, and of course your intuition. Like your third eye is kind of like that intuitive all-knowing. So if it's blocked, you might also be experiencing some brain fog. So that's kind of the summary for the meridians in the third eye. Again, we'll touch on all of those in the gentle yoga practice that's coming up here in a few weeks. But, or if you're watching this at a later time and you're not watching sequentially, it's out there somewhere. It should be out on the YouTube. Just search for it and you'll find it on my channel. So I've told you why it's happening, and I'm guessing that you want to know, what can I do about it, Crystal? Like, okay, I got brain fog. Now what? I think the biggest thing for me with anything that I'm experiencing is the sooner I come to acceptance versus trying to fight it, the better off that I am. Because the more I try to fight it, that's when those other emotions start coming in, and then I've got to get rid of the anger and the sadness before I can go back to the first thing, which is the brain fog. So, it takes time to notice when things are happening because we just live in such a fast-paced world. But if you could just take some time, maybe in the morning each day when you wake up, or anytime during the day, to just sit down and kind of just, okay, how do I feel? Like, what's going on? And if brain fog comes up, then work towards accepting that, all right. I like to say, as the great Honey Boo Boo said, it is what it is, right? I mean, you got brain fog. What you gonna do about it? I mean, there are things you can do, but until you notice it and accept it, you can't really move forward. I've already talked about not shaming yourself. Don't do that, girl. Don't do it. We beat ourselves up for so many things, and don't beat yourself up over brain fog. Something else, though, that does really help, I already mentioned the walk. If you can move your body. So again, brain fog is happening up here, and our brain is just like trying to work, and it's like, just not cranking. If you can get into your body, gentle yoga, get up and clean your house. It doesn't have to be exercise. Just get up and move and sit aside the things that you've got to think about, or go for a short walk, or I don't know, just get up and move your body. I feel like is the best thing to do versus trying to force yourself into thinking. And then the other thing that also helped me, so when I went on my walk last week, I always take my headphones, and there's always a podcast I'm listening to, or a book on tape, or music, or whatever. And I put on my headphones, and I was trying to think of I couldn't even think of what I wanted to listen to because nothing sounded satisfying to me. So I just took the headphones off, and I just walked in nature. Like, I was like, Crystal, you do not have to have constant, stimulation. Like, just walk without your headphones. And it was great. I was noticing the trees. I was noticing the birds. I was just, with nature, so to speak, as corny as that sounds. And it just kind of felt good. It shifted my perspective a little bit. And if you've just got some debilitating brain fog and you've already moved and you've already done all the things, know that you can rest. I don't think that we as women give ourselves permission to rest enough. I know I don't. I will push through every single thing and just act like, well, I'm just not going to let that happen. But I'm learning that the more I do that, like, if you don't give your body the rest it needs, it will find a reason to make you rest. Just know that, like, and I think it's important to think about what rest means to you. So doom scrolling is not resting. Maybe put on a funny movie or something. It just depends on, like, do you feel restored or do you feel more triggered? Like, for me, television can even be triggering for me depending on what it is. When I'm stressed out, I like to watch cartoons because it's funny. But if I put on like some crazy crime show or something, I know a lot of people like that, and that's fine, but that just activates me more. And so I just need something chill. So find something, find a movie or something that can make you laugh or cry or whatever it is that you need. So I think that's all I've got on the brain fog. I hope this has been helpful for you. I've got some more videos coming out related to brain fog. So again, depending on when you're watching, they may or may not be available just yet, but there's going to be a full-length EFT tapping video specific for brain fog. It's fabulous, just to help you mentally walk through how you're feeling and kind of pivot those thoughts. And I keep talking about the yoga. It's gentle yoga. There's some yin-ish poses in there that focus on the meridians. And I mean, we might stand up and move a little bit, but it's not handstands, honey. It's not anything crazy. And if you don't want to do one of the poses, then you just don't do it, because we're grown-ass women and we're tired of people telling us what we can do. And so, yeah, that's what's coming in the weeks to come. I hope that you feel better with your brain fog. I hope that this was helpful for you, and I will be seeing you soon.